creepy and endless hallways.
Do a fucking
aboard the
documentary.
RMS
Right.
Titanic.
Live reactions.
It's late into the night, April
What the
14th.
what's he
The
playing this
iceberg
on?
is only hours away. Fellow passengers silently
He's just
stare and
zoomed
watch you
in
from
on a
across
4:3
rooms.
screen.
Foreboding music constantly plays in the background.
Immediately
And
you're
you've
doing
just
it wrong,
found
you
an
idiot.
Original Hitler painting. If this sounds vaguely familiar, you've probably played a best-selling game from 1996 called Titanic: Adventure Out of Time. This game
Thank
is
you.
actually
I
one
think
of my
it's dope
favorites
stuff as well.
for being one of the more
This
unique
game
titles in
drives me
all of
insane,
video
however.
game
But
history
here we are.
for its tone and execution. I love how bizarre and creepy practically every aspect.
This is where the
of
views
game
go
is,
into
from a
minus
haunting
figures.
Atmosphere straight
A
out of The
new
Shining.
talent. But what the why? Oh right, I see. Hilarious. Well done. Have you
To the
got it?
off-putting
Have you got his
character
name?
animations
Fuck off,
and
you
the
desperate
unsettling
bitch.
conversations.
The doctors, you know, never did find all the parasites.
It's burned into my memory for being a game unlike any other. As a kid, I stumbled through thinking I
Alright,
was trying to
well this
save the
classical
ship.
music is gonna get us a
That's not
fucking
actually
little
the goal.
strike.
The real story is completely nuts. That's why it's so awesome.
I know you have it. Prepare to die at the hands of Serbia.
You play as a disgraced British spy who gets literally blown back in time, back to your failed mission aboard the Titanic.
Because science.
At the climax
Aw.
of the game, which plays out in real time, you are forced
Yes,
to make
plays out in
several
real
decisions
time.
that not only decide the fate of fellow passengers aboard, but also the fate of the entire 20th century. with
How much
World
is this
War
guy
I,
gonna get wrong
World
in the
War
first
II,
fucking
and
3
the
minutes?
Cold War, all coming down to your performance aboard the Titanic on the night of the sinking.
Fucking real time.
There are so many different reasons people love Adventure Out of Time and why it's still garnering sales.
And none
after
of them
nearly
make any
25 years.
sense.
But I had to know more. What was the story behind its development? Why is it so unlike typical games? To answer that, I've scoured the archived internet, read through 25-year-old articles.
It's not real time.
even
He has
spoke
got
with
it
one of
wrong.
the developers themselves.
You know, we were getting fan mail from people that had never played computer games before.
Adventure Out of Time is so unique in the history of gaming because
make some jokes,
developers
but
at
I'll
Cyberflix were
refrain.
trying to make something more than just computer games. In fact, they apparently despised the term
No, it
computer
isn't.
game. Cyberflix wanted to advance interactive movies and change how video games and entertainment
Real
could be
time
produced.
implies that it's actually
They
following a
wanted to
proper
truly
clock,
innovate
but
and
it
create
doesn't
a way
because you
to
move
make
around
interactive
and then
movies almost entirely
you get a
on desktop
cutscene, it
computers,
skips forward a bunch of
combining
time.
it with the
That's not real
adventure
time.
game genre to offer a one-of-a-kind experience. And their biggest hit, Titanic: Adventure Out of Time, did that so
What is
weirdly
this?
well. People are still fascinated by it after all this time.
It's not real time. See? Just the watch changes. Immediately. The first fucking thing after the first time, the watch changes. Take as much time as you want to get to that point. Otherwise, other things might happen. The time is still going to clock on, but it's not real time. Otherwise, the clock would just be, you know, constant. Or for your direction. That way. Wait for it, wait for it. Is it going to happen? Go on, get in there, get in there. Oh, we're on board! Where's the game? Ugh, what have they done to him? I was going to say it's quite clearly a cover.
Cyberflix's Titanic: Adventure Out of Time was released on Halloween in 1996. In many ways, the game
3.5
was unlike
stars.
any other at the time. It used animated
once again,
pictures
we're
of
on board.
actors for the characters during conversations. Work was done to
With modern
painstakingly
tech.
recreate the infamous ship.
Or pianos.
The game was entirely open world and featured an elaborate branching story. And it
Not
was
quite true
actually
either,
an
but
instant
okay.
hit, selling 100,000 copies in the first couple months. It's
There's
hard
a
to
reason for
believe
that. There was a pretty
historic drama
popular
about a
movie. I'm not sure if
100-year-old
you've heard of it. It was
disaster
called
could earn a
Titanic.
spot on the bestsellers list during a time when classic first-person shooters were
Yeah,
coming out.
that was
But it
my
gained
jam.
the
Quake.
attention of the public during Titanic fever of the 90s, and reviews praising its open-world design and attention to detail quickly
Again,
propelled the game to the
Not
bestsellers
quite open
list.
world.
And that's actually a year before
Fairly,
James
I
Cameron's
guess,
take
but
on the
not
disaster hit
quite.
big screens. The film propelled the game into even greater levels of success.
I love
which
the
should
fact you
have
told me to
provided
live
enough
react to this
funding to keep the
and
young production
essentially telling me
studio
why I'm
going
wrong.
for years. But somehow, the company was on the brink of falling apart.
Feed from my hatred.
Let's travel back to the beginning.
Turn to the
Cyberflix
dark
was
side,
incorporated
Luke.
in 1993 in Knoxville, Tennessee by Bill Appleton, a computer programmer who had made a name for himself creating the programming language Supercard and the adventure game creation software World Builder. Appleton was an innovator, and he knew he wanted his next steps to be something in computer entertainment, but he wasn't interested in making typical video games. He saw them as too limited and kid-centric.
He got a
Instead, he
slightly
wanted to
sadder
do
face
something
about
bigger.
that.
He wanted to push
now
entertainment
he smiles
technology
again.
forward with something in between a video game and a film, interactive movies. Hence the name of the company, Cyberflix.
Ugh,
We can even
science.
see the theater projector at the beginning of their logo animation.
Oh, it all comes together.
Interactive movies had been around for more than a decade at this point, but they
Yeah.
usually featured actual
Only a
video,
bit,
like
though.
a real movie, but broken up into dozens of clips with different options filmed. Most of the game footage was either animated like a cartoon or actually
Or
filmed
filmed,
on a set with all the traditional costs for a film.
Oh my
except
god, this
these
is a
productions
game? Why
had
aren't
to
we
produce
playing
multiple
this?
different
Look,
versions
this
of
looks
scenes to give
stupid.
players
Why are we
choices
not
in the
playing
story,
this?
Many of which would never be seen by players. Each clip would then be called up on demand by the game after the player selected from the
Nintendo?
limited options or did the correct
Oh,
move.
I know that game.
Most are
I've got that
remembered
game.
for being just horrible. But
Like, actually,
Appleton
on the
wanted
Mega
to take this
CD.
idea
I
and
have
improve
the
on
Mega
it.
CD
He
of
thought
this
it
game.
could change the entire entertainment industry.
Didn't look like that on that system, let me tell you.
CD-ROM vendors were out in abundance at the recent Macworld Exposition in San Francisco, and experts say 1991 may finally be the year of the CD-ROM.
With CD-ROMs, developers had more storage
Chops on that
available to them
dude.
and higher read speeds to flesh out their games. The industry began adopting pre-rendered graphics, which allowed developers to fabricate elaborate virtual environments that a player could move around in without the need to actually
At a
run a 3D
rapid
model
pace, I
on
might
consumers'
add.
limited computers. In addition to this, Cyberflix
Ugh.
wanted to try using pictures of real actors, which could be placed into game scenes as composites, giving the appearance of an actor on a set.
Yeah, now tell me
It
where
can even
those
be
files
animated by
are.
displaying different pictures
That's why I
quickly
want
in
to
a
go back to
sequence,
Titanic.
and
I
the
want
body
to
movements of
replace
each
them
sequence
all.
can even be made to match the character's words, essentially an actor marionette. They could program their characters to respond to different things that were said to them.
Well, they're a fine sight prettier than your ugly face. Better company, too. Sod off.
Oh, fucking
And could
end
even
your
remember previous
life.
conversations, creating a branching
the
narrative
Sasquatching
with dozens
barbecue,
of story
man.
possibilities. They would be
Cheating
able to
harpy.
actually craft entire sets and performances virtually. Instead of filming on location or on expensive
Really?
limited sets, which required
Interesting.
coordinated schedules between a dozen people or more, real actors could be shot on a green screen at any time and could then be animated to do anything thereafter.
Ah, feathering tools.
Voice actors could be called in individually to record lines, and everything else could be handled virtually. Appleton's ultimate vision was a software suite that would allow for the creation of the most intricate and elaborate interactive movies ever seen,
Etc.
enabling most of it to be made entirely
Then
on
I
computer.
quit school.
He convinced his friends and soon-to-be colleagues that they would become multimedia superstars and would redefine the entire entertainment industry. Appleton began telling people
And it
they
went
would be one of the
really,
biggest entertainment
really well
companies in
for
the world by the year 2000.
The Titanic game, and then it
The
just,
company
fell
began
apart.
developing the Dream Factory software suite, which
See, now,
split up the whole
I've looked for
movie-making
this software,
process
and it
into
does
several
not
different
exist
programs,
anywhere
like Headshot
anymore.
for animating characters and Movie Editor for building the game environment.
See, it was Dap
Scott
that told me
Sheinbaum
about
was a
that software.
co-founder of
Well, us.
Cyberflix
It was in
and
chat,
earned
obviously.
the role of sound director for their various productions.
By all means, go ahead and ask.
And we started out with myself and 3 other people in the basement of one of the co-founders, Bill Appleton. And we launched a game called Lunicus.
Okay. So far, so
It's
exciting.
basically an arcade game. It's a fun game. People liked it. And then we did another title called Jump Raven, which met with more success.
Really?
These first couple releases proudly highlighted their interactive movie concept, but were still much closer to your typical video game, with entirely computer-generated
They're
graphics
classic
for
bars
characters
for
and less
chit-chat
detailed
there, though.
environments. But the company's creativity was enough to impress audiences, and Jump Raven went on to win several awards, sell over 100,000 copies, and earn the new company a deal with Paramount Interactive.
Really? I've never heard of it.
They would use that investment to keep advancing
I
their
want
interactive movie
to
concept
replace
by adding new
all of the
features
character
like an open
models,
world
and in an
real
ideal
actors.
world, replace the
To show
dialogue
off
as well.
the new technology, they decided on a classic film genre, the Western.
Oh god,
The
there it
setting of a
is.
small desert town would allow the developers to give players the freedom to roam around wherever they wanted within the town, and to lead the story in the direction they thought best.
Hooker's titties.
This project eventually became known as Dust, a Tale of the Wired West. Although the game was met
Excuse
with
me. The
positive
puzzles
reviews,
were fucking so
it performed
obtuse
pretty
towards the end of
poorly,
that.
selling only 20,000 copies its entire run.
I think the theory was it was a very compelling game with very compelling gameplay, but it was a Western.
You say so.
And
Oh yeah, it was the
that
Western thing
genre
that let it down.
is attractive to
Well, I guess
some
it must have
people,
been
but not a
considering
lot.
you went on board the Titanic and then it was
Undeterred,
mint.
the young company would try for another interactive movie, once again aiming to offer a unique gaming experience.
After Dust came out, we sat down, we started looking at the engine, which was called Green Factory. And
I've got a
we said,
feel
okay,
that
what does
it
this
probably
do? What does
can't
this
be
do really
done.
well?
Because if it could be done,
We realized that it works
other
well
people would have done
with
it already,
character interaction,
right? Surely.
and it worked well in enclosed spaces. And
With a
it
game
was
as popular
good
as Titanic,
telling
Adventure
stories.
Out of Time,
So this is the very early days of the internet.
if there were the
before the internet
tools
was
to
the
mod
internet.
it,
We did a lot of research.
someone
One of the-
would have
one of the
modded it.
ways that we were doing research was just like on the phone. So our head of PR, Andrew Nelson, he called up the Library of Congress. He's like, "Hey, what are your top 3 inquiries?" And in no particular order, I think it was the Bible, the Civil War, and the Titanic. And we were like, the Titanic. So that's an enclosed
Well,
space.
thank you.
We can tell a story. That's interesting.
I guess we'll find out
So
soon enough.
He started fleshing out some stuff with a story.
If it's possible,
with the outlines. and
You are going to be in the
he
game.
liked what he was doing, and
We'll make you
so,
Vlad.
We gave it the green light.
While head writer Andrew Nelson was on
Oh
a
god,
flight
how
from New
mad is
York,
it to see
he
those
read an article about Titanic
previous
in
things,
The
like
Economist.
actual 3D
From
rendered
the article's
shit.
description of the disaster, he came up with the idea of a gameplay aspect that took advantage
Yeah,
of
but
the
there's
ship's dramatic 2-hour,
Did
40-minute
he
scene.
really, or did he just
The game could play out in real time,
screenshot every
creating
single
an
different?
exciting taking
In fact, no,
clock
it was
scenario.
just. Was it just the purser? And all he did
With
was
the
go
working title,
pop up and scare the
Titanic
shit out of
Journey
people.
Out of Time,
Or
the
there've been
story
others
would grow
since,
to become
and I've just
an
not played those
intricate
demos
time-traveling
yet.
spy thriller. And since it wouldn't be centered around a couple of love-stricken passengers, the story would go far beyond Titanic. As you work through the story, you eventually realize
the
the plot
purser.
encompasses the entire 20th century and places the fate of the world in your hands on that cold night in April 1912.
Oh, Willie Hadelitz is dead. Another match? Is it good?
They would end up creating almost 36 unique characters.
Missing
And
characters?
surprisingly, even for today, not
Then
only
no.
are each one of these characters acted by different people, nearly every character is voiced by a different actor from their on-screen counterpart, meaning this production has over 50 listed credits for acting. As sound director, Scott was in charge of all these sound recordings plus more.
I did all the sound effects. So
Well done.
our offices consisted of what used to be a rich lady who owned the building, her loft. Yeah, so we had a full bathroom, kitchen, everything like that.
Ooh, a bathroom.
I don't know,
How
there's just
lucky.
Little things like you can, when you're in your cabin, you can click on a porthole and the curtains will open up and you can look outside, and that, that's the shower curtain that was in our bathroom.
Huh.
Various things, me clanging on pots and pans for stuff, at 3 in the morning.
Hours could be very demanding at Cyberflix, and the developers often found themselves working late into the night.
You are giving me other links? This is an... Oh no, I don't want someone shouting over the top. Give me a time to skip to. In the meantime, let's get back to this.
It would turn out, however, that they weren't the only team working late on Titanic.
I remember working really, really late one night, and the phone rings, and I'm like, "Hello, Cyberflex." Voice on the other end goes, "Hi, who's this?" I said, "Scott Shanebaum." He goes, "Is Bill Appleton in?" I said, "No, who's calling?" He goes, "James Cameron." I'm like, "All right, let me take your number down." Mr. Cameron was very, very interested in our
Mr. Cameron.
models. So we actually sent him some footage from the game. And one of the sequences that we sent him was the sinking of the ship. Now, he'll deny this all day long, but if you sit down and you look at the sinking of the ship in our game versus the sinking of the ship in the movie,
Yeah.
they look really fucking similar.
Really fucking similar.
But unlike James
Boom!
Cameron's Titanic,
And all
their
of the
story
water
would
came
be
in. And
open-ended,
John Freeman yelled at top of
ultimately
long.
8
Blah,
different
blah,
possible
blah, blah,
endings
blah, blah.
determined by the players' decisions made throughout the game, as well as the choices they make during their final moments on the ship. The story was pretty intricate and grand, but almost all the reviews at the time praised the meticulously recreated ship environment. And that's what so many remember, the feeling of being stuck in a Titanic purgatory.
Just skip to any point. Any point? Oh right, yeah, I guess. Okay, alright, let me bring this in real quick. Right. I don't like the fact we've got a chatty boy, but it is what it is.
Pocket watch! That's amazing! Now who's knocking at my door?
Sorry to disturb you.
Good.
Mixture of the old and the new. Right, here she is!
So, is this a mod?
It's about
Is this...
time you got here. You've got quite a bit of work ahead of you.
Her voice is different.
I was gonna say that's not her voice. Is this... What the hell am I watching right now? What the fuck is... What is this? More importantly, why am I not playing it?
Winner, chicken dinner! Hi!
What do you mean winner chicken dinner? Do you not mean fucking coming pumpkins?
What do you want?
Well, I don't mean to get personal, but did you...
I want to fuck your wife. Oh, brilliant timing. Why are we developing... Oh, we're not. We're just looking at the words. Who's done this and why? It's from The Lost Mission. I feel that we did do that. And for some reason it never ended up on YouTube and it never got edited, but I'm fairly fucking confident that we did actually do it. But we were out of our mind drunk. Because I've got it, I swear I do. Somewhere. Play on stream. No, don't make me go back. Don't take me back to the ship. Don't want to go. Can't make me go back to the ship.
Running around, lost in the massive ship with only doom.
Shut up! Fucking talk about ships. Fuck me dead, that's haunting. Ah! That's worse!
Wandering around the infamous liner captivated the video game market of 1996.
See, that's fine. Why did he zoom in for the 16:9 view before?
So
It's
much
made it look
freedom.
fucking horrific. Yeah, that one.
In fact, the game doesn't hold your hand whatsoever. Players have to talk and really listen to practically every character they see.
You are a passenger. Excuse me, I would speak with you.
The most help the game gives us is our contact Penny Pringle, who will usually tell us what we need to do, but rarely
Penny
how to
Crayon.
achieve it.
Glory be. What are you doing back here? Find that blasted book.
How's about
There
fucking...
are some exceptions, like
you do something.
step-by-step instructions on how to turn on the wireless machine. But really, the only helpful tool the game gives you is a map with quick travel ability. If Penny says you need to find a notebook that could be anywhere on the largest ship in the world, well, you've just got to get to it, start talking with passengers and crew, and figure things out. You start out in your cabin, where you've just arrived seconds before after being blown up and sent through time to your own past.
Which,
after
if you...
a brief introduction...
I mean, if we're being honest, if you bought the game around the time that it came out, and you start off in a pokey little bedsit in London, you're asking questions, aren't you? Like, I thought this was a game about the Titanic. Why am I here? Why is the war? Why is that music playing on the stereo? Why are there cockroaches in the cupboard? So many questions.
To the
click
game
anything
in
to
our
press
cabin by
spacebar.
our trusty steward Smethels, we are allowed to walk out into the hallways and help ourselves to large sections of the sleeping ship.
Of course, on a Sunday evening at this hour, there won't
Say
be many
it.
people out.
Say it.
9:30, meaning
Wait,
we have
man.
a couple hours before we hit the iceberg.
It's
Once we
9:30.
hit it, the game...
It's 9:30, he says. (9:30). 9:30. If the game starts at 9:30, and you're gonna say that it starts at 9:30, why in the living fuck would you show the clock at 20 to 11? Why? Why would you do that? Why? It makes you look like a fool. And we all see it. We all see it. I hope you wanted an angry reaction to this video, because that's what you're getting.
9:30, meaning we have a couple
It's
hours
9:30!
before we hit the
It's
iceberg.
9:30!
Once we hit it, the game plays out in real time, forcing you to make
It's still
life and death
9:30.
decisions quickly.
It's still real
But during
time.
this main stage of the game, time only advances when certain plot points are hit, so it can be
Yes,
endless.
making
if you
it
want.
not real
You
time.
can wander the ship forever and never hit the iceberg.
The game is in real time. However, you can wander around the ship forever and never hit the iceberg. But it's real time. It is. Honest. Woo-saw. Woo-saw.
Although you can get to a vast amount of the ship, you can only do it
Well,
by
here's
traveling in
an
staggered
reaction.
movements. It kind of seems unnecessary and frustrating.
Hold up, this frame seems a little bit wrong for Titanic, doesn't it? It's just occurred. I just looked over to my OBS and it's like, "Hey, Sherlock Holmes." That ain't gonna cut it. Let me find some past stream shit. Titanic, where are you, darling? There you are. Right, who's got a frame for me? Because there are about 6 in here. No, apparently they've all gone missing. What the fuck? I've got a Titanic Russian one. 10k. 10k frame. That'll do. That's more Titanic, innit? It's not accurate. But then nor was Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper at this point, so fuck it. As we were.
Frustrating at times, but this is actually what helped make such a detailed game possible on a CD-ROM. You may feel like you have the entire Titanic
End
on
my
your
life.
PC, but actually it's all an illusion.
How?
A CD could never contain enough data to hold the entire...
Full disclosure, I got that annoyed. I took my cigarette out, started fiddling around with it. Then I put it in ash first into my face and lit the filter. I've not done that in about 10, 15 years. My advice, don't kiss me tonight. or any night. I'm married. Fucking unbelievable.
High quality 3D model of the ship, not to mention all the characters and dialogue to go with it. Instead, like other adventure games at the time, Cyberflix made their worlds by taking pictures of a 3D model and categorizing the images based on possible player movements. Pressing the forward key brings up the next corresponding sequence of images in the database. This made it look like your character was sprinting from position to position, but in reality the camera is only showing you 2 or 3 frames between point A and point B.
Yes.
Here's the original patent filed by Bill Appleton for what would become part of the DreamWorks process, using drawings to show how a camera could take pictures of different angles within a virtual room. And later, a game could call up those pictures in sequence to make it feel to the player as if they were moving around. This wasn't a new idea for adventure games, but their innovation was that DreamWorks software would create images between designated camera locations, allowing for little animations between turns and movements. This is why you couldn't move around an adventure at a time, like in true 3D environments. The ship was never really there, man. The idea was that the game's environments could be made as detailed as possible without needing a high-end PC.
I'll tell you what, we did do that Roblox thing, didn't we? During the 24-hour stream.
Like Quake, which came out the same year, could offer much smoother movements with total directional freedom, but at the expense of
first level or the
patterns,
first. Well, this is the first level of the shareware Quake.
Other adventure games like Myst were limited to fading between scenes. The picture-based system of Cyberflix offered some greater detail in comparison and allowed you to really walk through the lavishly decorated liner instead of fading from spot to spot. Although it's not perfectly accurate to the real ship, it's pretty impressive for how close it gets, and it's still beloved for its incredible attention to detail.
Yeah, a long time ago, yeah, we did.
Years to make.
Back when we were streaming on YouTube. It's around on the channel.
Very historically accurate.
I've done it twice actually.
We put out a
with different demo releases.
We were inundated by.
I think the first time we played it is the first time that Trevor actually ever spoke to us on the chat. Do it again. Give me a new demo, I'll do it again.
What?
I think there might be one.
On the photo, yeah. And
right. He's saying words that I should probably listen to.
Accurate. The reason we did that was we put out a quick little promo, and we were inundated by Titanic buffs yelling at us, so to speak, because we put the Britannic, not the Titanic. We got the wrong ship.
What?
On the photo, oh yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh. Like, oh man. And we realized, but this is a really interesting thing. What that did was it made us realize there were a lot of people out there that were very interested in this topic, that were very, very passionate about it.
Yeah.
Okay, people care. Got it.
So we started working on it, and we had a researcher. His name was Bill Broyles.
Jess, are you sure?
Really good researcher.
You want me and Krusty
Cyberflix knew the ship had to be historically accurate. They also knew their engine was exceptionally designed for such a challenge.
You still deserve a medal for the fucking shit we put you through that night.
So they hired researcher Bill.
Do this, boys. Blog, 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 blog.
Researcher for the film Apollo
you should do this.
To assist them in designing their virtual Titanic accurately.
Morons. Why are these boys here?
As you know, there are no color photographs of the Titanic. But what Bill made us find was a
color photograph of the Titanic
from the company that did all of the wallpaper and carpet for the Titanic from, I think, the year before the Titanic was built.
You're a lunatic.
When it was being built. So our 3D modelers and art directors got together and they looked at photographs of the Titanic and they matched up the patterns of the wallpaper with the swatch book and managed to get the colors right for pretty much most of the ship.
With the extreme level of detail for the time, smaller screens, and real pictures of characters, some would even describe the graphics as photorealistic, with almost every reviewer.
Well, that is a photo, is it not?
The ship wasn't the only thing that was historically accurate. Many of the characters hold views that were popular at the time, like religious judgment.
God has moved his mighty hand against the wicked. Gambling, lewdness, and a mixing of the classes are repaid with
Avast ye gay people, it is no longer pride.
Expansion.
Germany wants
welcome to July, motherfucker.
material. and we will fight to get it. Britain and America will try to stop this, but we will know your plans. And if there's war, Germany
I do
will
not accept
win.
these views.
But enough politics.
Or agree with
And
them.
being
That's what I meant
against
to say.
women's suffrage.
And that is the
The
religious
law
man's
favours the
views,
husband
not
in
the
these
anti-gay
matters.
views.
You can do nothing about it. God forbid the suffragettes really do win women the vote.
God, it's
They'll
difficult
never
to be
know
on
their
the
place
internet these
again.
days.
Once you do start working through the plot, you can't help but appreciate how creepy and macabre the whole atmosphere is. There are so many reasons this game sticks with you. It really goes out of its way to make
I think the
things feel
soundtrack has a lot to
off
do with it,
and
and let's be
foreboding.
honest, you're not really helping it along with your bouncy soundtrack right now. There we go, that's a bit more like it. Ugh. Spooky teeth.
The character animations usually shock or confuse people when they first see them, finding them either hilarious or downright creepy. But I think everyone can agree
Bit both,
that
really,
it's a
innit?
pretty unique way to present characters in a game. But why are they like this?
I live to serve.
Well, the developers wanted their games to feature realistic-looking characters in order to help their conversation.
And the best way to do that was to put
more real
people
than the
in them.
purely computer-generated graphics of the time could offer. Remember, this is 1996, and most computer-generated characters looked like this. That was
Yes,
important to
but
avoid.
I can tell that that's Luke
So
Skywalker, and
animated
also
3D
I've just
faces
cut my
weren't gonna
thumb
cut
again.
it for their goal of creating
You would not believe
interactive
the amount of
movies.
cuts I have in my
Real
thumb.
actors would have to be included. However, they couldn't do full videos of these conversations either due to the CD-ROM limitations. Contrary to
That's how
popular
Foy
belief,
comes onto
normal
women.
FMV files were too large for the number of conversations they were aiming for. So the compromise they took was to take real pictures of actors from a local theater group
There
and
she is.
animate them using different eye expressions and mouth movements. This wasn't unlike many of the other types of digitized sprites popular at the time, but they did take the concept probably as far as it could possibly go.
By instead of having them
taking
sideways,
pictures
they
for
had them
every
face
single
on.
face possibility, they decided to animate different parts of the face and body separately. The idea was
Yes,
to
with
take
the-
enough
with the
pictures
feathering I
so that they
mentioned
could
earlier.
stitch parts like eyes and mouths onto different body parts, and ultimately use these body parts to animate the characters any way they pleased. If you've seen behind the scenes of stop motion animations, this is like a digital version of that, where animators have
Yeah.
tons of pre-made eyes, mouths, and head positions to choose from. Then they would get different actors to actually voice the dialogue, and eventually they would combine it all together using the Dream Factory program, meaning for each character to be created, one person had to do the physical acting, the other was doing voicing, and the third was animating them all together to create the final performance. The often awkward delivery,
I don't want no trouble. I didn't know the letter was so dear.
combined with the uncanny valley animation style, resulted in a performance that is definitely unforgettable.
Down we go. Down to Davy Jones' locker.
But it's a unique solution that...
Trouble is, we lightly brushed upon Dust, but clearly they must have been using the same tech. So why are we explaining this as if this is new for Titanic when they'd already done it? Surely we should be covering more of Dust than anything, or at least say the same way they did with Dust. We're doing it here. Or maybe there was whole head shots, I don't know. Exactly the same, but more improved. Well, there you go. At least reference it. See, you know. Why doesn't he know? He's fucking narrating this bullshit.
That could only come out of the 90s. And honestly, after getting over the weirdness, the character design
Well, yes, we all know
actually
that.
holds up pretty well for a 25-year-old game. Most of the on-screen actors were sourced from a local acting group in Nashville.
Let's take a moment. Take these faces in, just in case you ever meet them on the street. Remember that they are a good 20 years older now. 25. That's maths, right? 25 years older. Some of them are probably dead. Desperate fuck.
But some were performed by the developers themselves. Bill Appleton's brother,
Really?
Tom, played the part of Vlad, while our friend Scott Shanebaum actually voiced the character Buick Riviera.
Yeah, the biggest part was a character, Buick Riviera.
Oh, you played
And
Buick
the biggest
Riviera.
part.
Yeah, and Buick Riviera was in Dust. So it was
Yes,
a
he
much
was.
older, much more wizened Buick Riviera in Titanic.
New Mexico. I lived there once. In Diamondback. Such a town.
To me, the weird animations and memorable line deliveries are part of why I keep coming back. But that still doesn't stop them from adding to the overall creepiness.
Trouble is, you can never play an adventure game for the first time again, can you? It's never going to be the same. You know what to do, right? Well, you certainly do with something that you've played as much as we have of this game. He says, knowing that he carries on fucking up while playing this game, but I know the general idea.
The atmosphere throughout the whole shit. The game offers such a unique feeling that first time you're dropped into your cabin, completely alone, and this music starts
Yeah, this
playing.
music doesn't help anything, does it?
Even just waiting in your room,
Shut up, I'm
makes you
singing.
feel like something is wrong. The classical music soundtrack fits in perfectly with the time period and the tone, each track more unsettling than the last.
I'm afraid I must take issue there. It does not fit in nicely with the tone. It fits in nicely with the tone of the game, but what you must remember is that this ship, as the people are currently experiencing it in this time, is the greatest luxury liner of all time and is unsinkable. So it should be really upbeat and jovial because everyone should be having the best time of their lives. Whereas you get on the ship and it's like, do you want to slit your wrists? Here's a rope. Would you like to hang yourself, perchance? It's, he's wrong. He's just wrong again, isn't he? I'm going for a piss. I'll be back in a minute for more complaints. We out here. I see that. Oh, bang on, 4 hours. I couldn't have timed that any better if I tried. Pure luck and happenstance. According to my chat list, there is someone that we don't know in here. What up? Servers? Are you calling yourself Servers? I did scan your name through Twitch bots, and apparently you're a real human being, so welcome. We're watching this fucking ship right now. And then I'll put the ambient bar sounds back on and we'll just have a drink together. How does that sound? Good? Good. Rapped over that beat.
And the sudden cuts as you change areas can fill you with feelings of imminent danger.
No, I haven't. I'm lying. I made a beat of that one, though.
Even though most of the time, nothing is going to harm you. Except Vlad. Beware Vlad demonic.
Oh, crap, beware him looking like that.
During the time that we were doing Titanic, we had another composer in-house. His name is Eric Holt. So I would listen to what Eric Holt was doing, do some light touch-ups and stuff. Eric was a very talented composer in his own right.
Surprisingly, Eric Holt is not credited
in his own
with
right.
any other music work.
I was
Holt
better,
seems
though.
to be extremely talented in a lot of areas, as he went on from this to lead teams at Facebook, Google, and Intel. However, his unforgettable score was not always the direction the soundtrack was heading. Originally, they were aiming for a sound more similar to composer Philip Glass.
So it started
examples
towards that because the music I did for the trailer was sort of Philip Glass-ish. But in talking with our researcher, Bill Broyles, he said,
that's wank.
It really should be more period specific. I'm like, okay, I see where you're going with this. Basically came up with, we're going to do a combination of period
It's
music
shit, isn't it?
And also
It's not horrifying. Let's just call it what it is. Shit.
Some darko classical stuff. You can hear a little bit of Tchaikovsky and what Eric composed for the ambient music and the various scenes.
So their work shifted to producing pieces that fit the time period better. Holt, who had a mathematics degree and some background in music composition, began pulling from Chopin, Verdi, Rossini, Mahler, and others to inspire and shape his original
I do like
score.
a bit of Chopin,
And
must
what he
admit.
turned in was the perfect complement in tone for the melancholy and dramatic atmosphere of the game.
Funny, Muse have Chopin as an influence. The band that I'm really vibing right now, Tiger Cub, the frontman of them also
He's quoted as saying,
cited Chopin
"We wanted
as
to give you
a
something
influence
you
for at
could
least
go
one
away
song.
humming, And honestly, if you're watching Eric Holt, I actually do hum this music sometimes, even over 2 decades later. My co-producer has been working to recreate the soundtrack of this game with realistic instrument recordings, a couple of which you've heard in this video.
So far, he's failing.
The real soundtrack is much lower quality, unfortunately, but that kind of adds a bit of creepiness all on its own.
Yeah, but it sounds like he's recorded it inside a fucking...
The music.
What, a cavern?
Also the little things like no-face
far too much
NPCs
reverb on
dressed
that.
in all
Far
black
too
that you
much.
can't talk to. The historic irony that's littered
And his
throughout
strings sound the
story.
same as the original version, so
way
what's the point?
characters watch you as you pass them. The empty feel of the public spaces. And even the inherent creepiness.
It just sounds
of the
like a
Hitler
fucking
painting.
dodgy...
I do not like this painting, Charlie. Smug aura mocks me.
Well...
It's evil, Charlie.
Okay, cheers, Danny.
Evil.
Yeah, it just sounds like a piano cover.
This game feels so oddly unique. It's no wonder it's.
I don't want to knock him because he's clearly spent some time on it, but not enough.
Fan base to this day.
Oh,
On
there's
top
that
of the
group,
well-done
I
setting and
assume.
atmosphere, the plot of the whole game surrounds a high-stakes spy mission involving a copy of the Rubaiyat, Russian revolutionaries, missing war plans, and the Black Hand.
Can't say that. See, look, he knows.
Your mission involves obtaining a stolen copy of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam.
So I just sound
a
really
classic book
bitter
of
throughout
old
all of
poems.
this because I'm just telling
This
it
copy
off.
was highly decorated and very
I'm not.
valuable.
I just like to be angry
I've
at
only
things.
ever heard about this book from this
I'm getting to
game,
that
but it
age
turns
where I
out
have
a
to be
very
angry
valuable
about
copy was
pretty
actually
much everything.
on board the Titanic and was lost when she sank. And
But also,
we've
I'm
all
not wrong,
unknowingly
so-
seen a copy of it in Back to the Future. Marty's mom is holding it right there.
That's the Rubaiyat, all right. Well done.
Anyway, the valuable copy is stolen in this timeline, and the British Secret Service traced it to a German colonel scheduled to travel on the Titanic.
I mean, yeah, I'm not taking away from
They
the
sent
doco.
you
It is
aboard to
pretty
foil
cool.
his
It's just
plot by reobtaining the book
a
and
lot
to
of
try
things
to uncover his purpose for
I don't agree
and what
with.
it means to the German High Command.
like
A larger
the real
mystery
time,
unfolds
for
surrounding
example.
it, and you end up scrambling to obtain a painting as
Let's not forget that he is contradicted himself almost immediately after saying it's in real time earlier, and also the remastered soundtrack, which just it's not there. It's not there. It's not. Too much reverb on the piano. The strings sound the same. Why bother?
as well as a notebook kept by one of the Germans that contains the names of Bolshevik revolutionaries in Russia, and a valuable necklace that 2 of the other passengers are planning on selling in order to fund the Black Hand, the organization that would go on to kill Archduke Francis Ferdinand and trigger World War I.
But if they hadn't, then we
History
would
may
not
be a
have the
little
band of
off,
the
but
same
the
name.
basic premise ends up being that World War I, World War II, history
Oh.
may be a
Science facts. Where was your fucking continuity on that one, game makers? Fools!
little off, but the basic premise ends up being that World War I, World War II,
Really?
the Russian Revolution, and the Cold War can all potentially be avoided by obtaining all 4 items, but that's not at all guaranteed. One of the best
It is when Jess
aspects
is playing,
of the
it's
whole
pretty
game
much
is the
guaranteed.
multiple endings. There are 8 different endings, all depending on which of the 4 items you manage
Nazi
to get
Fury
off the
1
ship
and
before it
2?
sinks. For example, you may have managed to obtain
You mean
only
it's
1
not
or 2
simply
items,
Achtung?
which might mean you
Blast,
avert
blast,
the
blast,
Communist
blast.
Revolution and the Cold War, but that means Hitler beats the weaker imperialist Russia in World War II and eventually goes on to conquer England, where your character lives. And right as the narrator
Ruh-roh.
is finishing explaining all this, the game actually ends with Nazis breaking into your apartment and shooting you.
Schnell! God, there is a different Nazi ending.
There's a whole range of endings, with the most perfect ending achieved when you get all 4 items off the ship. If you get the necklace, the Black Hand won't get the funding they need, and they never go on to kill the Archduke, meaning
Unlucky,
World War
Lance.
I never actually starts. As for the painting, it becomes the only piece of artwork to be saved from the Titanic, making the artist, who happens to be Adolf Hitler, much more well known as a painter, launching his career and leading him to devote his life to his art, thus avoiding World War II. If the notebook
Bet he
of
still
Russian
hates the Jews,
communists
though.
is saved, it's given to the Russian Empire, which thwarts the revolution by killing the revolutionaries,
No.
thus averting the Cold War and communism. Apparently,
No. No. No.
this led to lots of parties and a moon landing in the 40s. Then again, you can also accomplish nothing significant and things end up the same as before or worse. And of course, you can waste too much time during the climax and end up going down with the ship.
Everybody dies.
Anything about the future is up for change, except the Titanic. It always sinks. Yes, you can prevent World War I and II, but you can't save the ship. That might sound kind of disappointing at first, but I actually like the real story even better. After all, what kind of climax would a story on Titanic be if we missed the iceberg?
It's too late.
I know, right? How tragic would it be to have a world where thousands of people didn't unnecessarily die? Mad, right? Can we play stuff from Adult Swim? Is he getting away with it? I'm not sure we will.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't brace yourselves. No! What happened?
The real story lends itself to a great amount of replayability. During playthroughs, you might find yourself having to choose between preventing World War I or preventing the Russian Revolution and communism, depending on which items you can obtain or are forced to give up. There's so many paths to victory and death. Each playthrough is completely different, and surprises continue for players even after years.
Well, yeah, my surprise is that there was another Nazi ending. Christ.
Titanic Adventure Out of Time released to strong sales, and the film that released a year later gave it real legs. It was just the perfect thing at the perfect time.
Yeah.
People just would go into,
That's what I said.
you know, Best Buy or Circuit City or wherever, and the damn thing just flew off the shelves because.
Well,
I mean,
of course
it
we
was
do.
huge
And now,
popular
and
movie,
now know even
and
more.
The packaging was very nice. People just like, oh yeah, I want that. Yeah, I'll play that.
The packaging was very nice. It was a cardboard case. It was simple, basic CD shaped, and it was plain white with the little porthole. Yeah, fucking mega appealing.
Yeah, so that helped a lot.
At least that's the version that me and Krusty got.
Cyberflix would go on to create just one more game in 1998, Red Jack, a pirate story set in the...
We played that. Can't remember if it was on YouTube or Twitch, but either way, it's on the YouTube channel.
1700s.
I guess it got released about a year and a half after that in '98, and we thought that Red Jack was going to be our huge blockbuster hit. Yeah, I mean, it was just absolutely.
We were wrong.
Gorgeous. I mean, it really was. It was just absolutely amazing. But
it was Twitch. Thank you for remembering where my brain fails.
To skip their dramatic cutscenes, trying to get to the action. A canary in the coal mine for their entire concept. Red Jack never received close to the interest that Titanic did, and it practically ended the company.
Why would it?
But a little before this, Andrew Nelson and Scott Sheinbaum would pitch to Appleton a sequel to Titanic.
And we actually...
I fucking beg your pardon? A sequel?
If you will, a historical fiction game house. Because we were very, very close to doing something either based on the Lusitania or something based on the Hindenburg. We almost came out with basically a Titanic 2, but it was going to be on the Hindenburg. And I think that would have done really well. I mean, somewhere out there floating around, yeah, there's still a script floating out there. I don't know, probably.
Nelson reportedly also pitched 2 other historic game ideas. One about...
Hello, just hold up. Are we still here? Are we still here? I was fucking about with cameras. I hit the wrong button. I need to move the stream button. I'm going to do that now. It's too close to other relevant buttons, and it is making bad things happen. And now I need to edit, and I don't want to edit, but now I have to. And that makes me very sad. Right, let's swap you boys around, shall we? Right, now my Stream Deck has stream at the bottom left as opposed to right next to one of my camera buttons. I don't know why I've not changed this before, to be honest. I should have done it a long time ago. Because, honestly, the frequency of me grazing that button is too frequent. Far too frequent. But at least you're still here. Just a bit of a bitch that occurred. Now let's skip back
Shane Baum
a little
pitched
bit.
to Appleton a sequel to Titanic.
A sequel?
And we actually...
I beg your pardon? How does that work? I beg your pardon? Pardon?
Well, a
This.
historical fiction game house. Because we were very, very close to doing something...
Jesus Christ, my favourite bit about that is that I was looking at the wrong camera every time I fucking changed. Let's just focus on this.
Either based on the Lusitania or something based on the Hindenburg. We almost came out with basically a Titanic 2, but it was going to be on the Hindenburg. I think that would have done really well. I mean, somewhere out there floating around. Yeah, there's still a script floating out there. I don't know, probably.
What's that art? Is that something else? Or is this conceptual work they did? The ticket is in your apartment. You're not wrong. Huh. Okay, I guess that could have been interesting, but I mean, what could you possibly do on that? I mean, that's the end of Carlson, right? Surely. Except it's not, because he's there after still with the ticket. I mean, how'd you bail out of that situation? Because that's not expected. It's not like it's a slow burner. Forgive the unintentional pun of the burning. But, I mean, at least on the Titanic, you hit an iceberg and you know eventually you're fucked. Whereas with the Hindenburg, you're just like, oh, it's over now, bye. Who knows?
Nelson reportedly also pitched 2 other historic game ideas. One about vampires in Charleston.
Historic games. Vampires. I mean, I know that the two go together quite nicely, but I mean, the way that led in is as if, yes, vampires are real.
And another about Anastasia in the Winter Palace during the Russian Revolution.
No, I'll leave that to Madonna, innit?
How did Appleton react to these ideas? Well, uninterested. Apparently he had bigger plans. Ones that didn't involve historical games.
Dude, you put this much work into getting a few things not entirely right for my liking, but that delivery of that line was just a step too far for me. The hesitation. Just do the line again. You're not live. That's what I'm doing. Complaining about everything. That's why you're here, right? Angry Jay is angry about everything.
Having lost the philosophical battle for the company, Nelson decided to leave in 1997, predicting a grim outlook for the company to his colleagues. He would fittingly go on to become a recognized writer and
on
a
Facebook.
Senior producer at the online encyclopedia Britannica.com.
Oh, please
The following
open.
year, Appleton called everyone in to make a surprise announcement. Cyberflix would be stopping production of all in-house games, deciding to focus entirely on developing the Dream Factory engine, while spinning production work off into a new company that would produce games for Cyberflix and others. The company would go on, or would it? This new development studio failed to win any contracts, suspiciously not even from Cyberflix. The new company...
They couldn't even land a contract with their own company. What the fuck?
He quickly folded, and Appleton attempted to quietly shut down his original company as well. But the breakup would end up being kind of messy, with some of the employees feeling lied to and betrayed. No one knows exactly what Appleton was thinking, but some figure he lost faith in the ability of Dream Factory to keep up with the times, as the industry was moving towards shooters and true 3D worlds. Everyone went their separate ways, and Appleton eventually took the Dream Factory name and applied it to his new cloud software at his next company.
Yes, that is what I find whenever I look for Dream Factory. I cannot find the original software. All I find is this bullshit.
Hi, I'm Bill Appleton. I'm the CTO at Dream Factory Software. We build cloud applications. We're in Mountain View and Atlanta.
That's great, but what does that mean?
But Titanic Adventure Out of Time would never die. The game continued selling under a different company, Cyberflix's consulting firm, Barracuda Inc., which purchased the title from Cyberflix in their last days, and would continue distributing it under a new studio, Hammerhead Entertainment.
I'm not
Stores
familiar
ended
with
up
that one.
stocking Titanic for years after its release, and it ultimately ended up selling over 1 million copies worldwide.
I mean, fucking watch it.
Apparently, the game's characters were also incorporated into a messenger program in the early 2000s called Sea Storm Messenger. The archived website touts a feature for tracking head movements with a webcam and having the characters mimic you. That sounds pretty impressive for an early 2000s program, so it's unfortunate
It
I can't
actually
find any
does.
other evidence of it besides this grainy photo. But the years went by, nothing else new came of the game, and slowly operating systems advanced, and CD-ROM drives stopped being included with mini computers.
You've got it easy playing this shit on Steam. The stress we went through trying to fucking record this. Or that original series, not this, obviously, because this implies now. But yeah, the stress I went through, not we, I went through trying to fucking make that game, first of all, work, and second of all, work in an environment that we could actually record it. Times were different. Times were different back then. 97p is still too expensive. Titanic should pay me. At this point, Titanic owes me. Fucking game. Anyway, yeah, it was difficult to get underway, and honestly, hands down, all the credit in the world to a YouTuber called Artist Caleb, who at the time of me wanting to do a Let's Play for the first time, he was the guy that when I searched Titanic Adventure Out of Time on YouTube, he was the guy with the footage that I reached out to, and within a day he replied and was like, right, okay, this is what I did, give it a shot. So I did, and it worked, and for the time at least we became reasonable friends. I've not spoken to him in a great many years at this point, but he narrates video games as well. He did narration for a Myst style title, which for the life of me right now I can't recall the name of, but me and Krusty did play it for one of our One Hit Wonders, the One Hit Wonder series, one of the first ones of those, I think it was, that we played that with. And also, of course, he narrated the first couple of episodes of We Be Boating Volume 8, because we had no audio on the camera the whole time. So we sort of edited it in our heads. Me and Krusty sat there through all the footage, and we worked out how we wanted to try and make it fit. And we wrote a script and we sent it to Caleb, and God bless him, considering he's a professional voice actor, he recorded all this bollocks for us and sent it over for free. So all the love in the world to Artist Caleb. What a dude. And you like Artist Caleb, as well you should. Genuine bloke. I'd love to know what he's up to these days. I know he was, the last I spoke to him, again, like at least 5 years ago, he was developing his own game, so who knows where the fuck that's up to. Anyway, let's get on with this.
It became increasingly impossible to play Adventure Out of Time, with those who
I
still
know, right?
remembered it assuming it would fade away into obscurity. But then, in December 2017, a developer called Night Dive Studios, which
Whoever the fuck they
specializes
are.
in buying the rights to popular older video games and
Okay.
releasing them for modern systems,
Gom.
released Adventure Out of Time on GOG.com.
I like that art. I will give him
For the
credit for
first
that. I
time
like
in
that
20
art.
years, many fans were able to play a long-lost favorite game.
For the first time in 20 years, you weren't trying hard enough, you stupid cunts. I'm 100%
It was
moving
later
on to We'd Be
released on
Boating after
Steam
this.
as well, both for
Just to hear
pretty cheap.
Caleb.
I will say, however, if you choose to buy the game, look up the fix for the dialogue skipping bug, or you might continually miss important information.
Oh, sorry. There's
I
something
beg
very
your
wrong with
pardon.
my...
Some of the
doesn't matter.
developers of the modern Titanic Honor and Glory simulation credit Adventure Out of Time as their inspiration for recreating the ship in incredible detail. They
See,
even include
it looks so good, but there will never be a game. There will never be a game. Never. 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 Put the concept behind you. The best you're going to get is the ability to walk around the ship, which is cool. Which is cool in itself. Just market it as that, you know? Here is the entire ship as a have a mooch tour walking sim thing. There ain't no story. Remember when they started touting there was going to be a story? I was excited, as I'm sure everyone was, but it's never going to happen. No. I'm trust me. I'm keeping up to date, kind of. I know they've gone back on the game thing. It's just, yeah, you know what I was going to say, I'm not salty, but yeah, I am fucking salty. I'm salty as fuck that they said we're going to make a game. And because they said, right, the next demo release is going to have some characters in there to give you an idea of how the game's going to be. And it was meant to be like a couple of months from that announcement, and like 3 years later, nothing. And then something to do with law, some bad things happened with the law, like what? I refuse to watch like a 3-hour stream to get answers. Cliff notes, please. Cliff notes. Just don't promise me something you're not gonna make. As so many Kickstarters go.
several direct
It is what it
references
is.
to the game, like the purser hiding behind
Boink.
this door, and Strauss's cufflink on the exact same chair you find it in the game.
I do seem to recall that.
There's actually a growing fan group on Facebook, with members even making new discoveries after a quarter century.
No, they're not.
One of my
What?
favorite finds were the cut lines from the game, found by looking through the code of the captions for the conversations. For example,
Cookie?
it looks like our psychic friend originally had a cookie obsession. We can even see him holding what looks like Oreos in some of the shots that made the cut. It turns out that Oreos were released a month or so before Titanic sailed, and the developers clearly seem to love making historically correct references in their games, but it was probably a little too
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I remember vaguely
Here's a
skipping over
recreation
them,
of
but I
what
mean,
some of those cut
my
lines
saltiness
might
does
have
not need to stop there, does it?
Newfangled
I
and
wanted a
delicious.
game. I was really excited for a new
Called
game,
Oreos.
and there's no
The
game.
world's
He's
wealthiest
talking about
men.
Oreos.
Henry
I've just
Clay
lost the
Frick,
filter. The
J.P.
world is over.
Morgan,
Why even
the
bother
Vanderbilts
breathing?
Canceled their trip. They know when to listen to their gut. No more questions now. I need to get more cookies.
I mean, you can see why
A
that was cut,
YouTuber
can't
named
you?
Spammels went to a
There he
decent
is.
amount of trouble to fake a remastered version of Adventure Out of Time using the Honor and Glory model. It was so
Oh, so it
well
was
done,
fake.
It got many to ask
Thanks,
the
Jess.
question,
Thanks for
will
giving
this
us that
game
fake
ever
video
actually
earlier.
Be remade? Well, it'll probably not ever be released officially. The game is based on a unique engine that can't
Oh my god, that is haunting as fuck.
be easily upgraded. The actual 3D model of the ship may not even exist anymore, and proprietary software doesn't make it easy to swap
It definitely
new
doesn't
images,
exist.
even
It
if
definitely doesn't
high-resolution ones
exist.
could be
I mean, assuming someone kept the system, chances are that a hard drive from fucking, 25 years ago, that ain't fucking booting up anymore. There's a reason I need to back up a couple of my drives. I don't want to lose my music drive again. Not again. But I'm going to, because I can't afford to buy new drives. Moving on.
made. It's probably never meant to be anyway. Titanic Adventure Out of Time is stuck in time, a product that could only come out of the mid-90s. Cyberflix knew the industry was heading towards narrative-heavy games with open worlds and large amounts of player control. Their Dream
Yes,
Factory engine wasn't suited
Cyberflix
for the
in
action aspect that the
1997
industry was
predicted
demanding.
Grand Theft
The future
Auto
was
5.
Grand Theft Auto, not Myst.
Titanic is still in the top 100 of best adventure games of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of what I've done, and it
Yeah,
was
that's reasonable.
It was a great experience, and I mean, I'd do it all over again, even though it was the adventure games fell out of fashion and we went our separate ways. But it was still good. It was a lot of fun.
I still think in some ways Cyberflix was ahead of their time. Computers would eventually revolutionize the entire entertainment industry and change how stories are told. They never achieved their vision of redefining an industry, but they managed to achieve something nearly as timeless as a classic film. It may not be the most polished game with the best graphics, but you can still get lost in its one-of-a-kind atmosphere, the world, and the characters. And that's what will keep many fans coming back to Titanic.
You see, now to give it its due, it is a fantastic game, and I will never take that away from it because I fell in love with it almost immediately. Installed it, got in, I was like, this is terrifying. The music, obviously. Creepy as fuck, going around, investigating, chatting to all those people. My background in point-and-click games really helped me to get involved with that. It was really enjoyable. And I want to say, if you put this in front of anyone today, like, for the first time, they'd really enjoy it. But they're spoiled on the graphics and the style of games these days, so they probably wouldn't appreciate a game like this, because it's too old-fashioned. Despite how revolutionary it may have been at the time, and how enjoyable it actually is to go around and investigate and find shit out for the first time and see what ending you get. Because I don't think, not in a lot of games certainly, you didn't tend to get different endings way back in the day, did you? So, it was a great game. It was a great game. I'm just really overplaying it at this point. I mean, I'm overplaying the game, not overplaying the point I was making. Just to clarify. I deadlifted 150 kilos the other day. Let's move on.
Adventure at a time. For
Just as a segue to get out of what I was saying. Oh, it's over. He's not even hitting the right keys. He missed a bass note. And it sounds like he's recorded it in a sewer about 5 blocks over. I'm using the word blocks because I assume that's what most people will understand, even though we don't have blocks over here. Remastered. Just played the songs is what he's done. Just played the songs and cunted the heaviest reverb known to man on top of it. Nope, still missed the note. Well, there.
It's the end, Pally. See you around.
I don't know what to do from this point. I think we've definitely reached and exceeded this stream's natural conclusion. We've got at least 2 bots still in the stream, as far as I can tell. I'm gonna check that because I might be wrong. Nope, that's a bot. Let's try the other one. That is also a bot. One of them has run away already. Oh no, disappeared briefly. Let's ban that. Good. And let's ban that as well. Lovely. Lovely. Couple of bot bans. Best way to end a stream. And as I'm banning bots, the numbers go up. How does the science work? No one knows. No one will ever know. No one will ever know. All I know is that I've been streaming for a good nearly 8 hours. Nearly 8 hours. And that is far too many hours to be streaming. Especially considering that I know that I stopped the stream accidentally at one point. And I need to edit this thing separately from the actual gameplay bit anyway. And everything is a nightmare. Fuck everything. Essentially. Especially considering the fact that I know that I've got to be up in about... well, probably not 2 hours. But I need to be up by lunchtime at least. I've got to go out and go and buy some new gym gear. And then go to the gym wearing it. After drinking all these beers. But it was essential that I stayed up this late so that I could drink all these beers. Because I'm not allowed to drink beers from the future onwards. This is my last night of beers. And as long as I'm not sleeping, it can be the next day. Because it's still the same day to me. Which means, technically, I'm fine. Or am I just making excuses? You decide. Either way, this has been a fabulous stream, which is now over. Thank you for joining us on what I am now going to actually be calling Happy Hour. Because it took us a while to find out what we should call Jay's Board. So just talking with people and listening to music. Happy Hour appears to be the one. We've already been complimented on the lovely art that we have for the surround, so I guess that's what it is now. Welcome to Happy Hour. Goodbye from Happy Hour. I have, at the very least, existed during all of this. What the hell's that though? No. I can't believe that camera's still going. But it is. Cheeky, happy little camper. Good job, old mobile phone. Love you. Serving its purpose. Oh, Jess, you're still here. God bless you. God bless you. Go listen to some Skinless Finger. Treat yourself. Oh. What happened? I stopped the jazz bar. You know what, you said this yesterday and I held back from correcting you, but I simply cannot have it twice in a row. It is... Thank you. Thank you. Let's at least get it right. But regardless of spelling, you are correct. Live, laugh. Deuces. Oh, I've moved the button now. It's different. I know where I am. I know where I am. Don't. No. I already said live, laugh, Limp Bizkit. Deuces. Deuces.